Transition.
I was gonna make a joke, but thought better of it. All right. Anyways, I have to still set. I need to like connect these two computers because I always have to come here and like set other shit up.
Is there a way to even do that?
I'm sure there is, but if we can connect the recording to that computer, I can start recording when that starts recording there. Like we did the one time, but I have to like reach. That's like a whole thing. Plus, it's doing it over the Wi-Fi. This ensures that there's no like latency issues.
Word.
But all right, are you got all your stuff?
Pretty much.
Welcome to GladYouGame Pad. It's so much harder to do that now because like I start the live feed over there.
Yeah, I see you walk back to the chair and
It's like
set up.
It's pretty obvious that I'm like, well, he's gonna start roughly soon.
It's really just how long it takes you to hit record. It's
Yeah,
almost like we should have a real intro.
yeah, I'd be like, bam, 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 bam. Nope, that's definitely taken from something. Oh, by the way, did you see Biden falling up the stairs?
Yes.
There's an Instagram video of it, the Mario Kart version. Did you see that?
So good.
Where he's going, he puts the bananas down.
Yeah.
It's glad. Not getting political, just saying that's fucking hilarious, though.
There's a transcendence point of memes where it's like,
yeah,
it's at a certain point, it's just funny no matter who you are.
You're damn right. Speaking of, nope, never. There's no transition for that, but whatever. Actually, you know what? Speaking of cool political stuff, let's talk about Tsushima, baby.
Tsushima.
So we talked a little bit before how the Tsushima devs, the Ghost Tsushima devs, became like like honorary people for like Tsushima, like to help like build it, rebuild it, and stuff like that. But we got a little more info separate from that. So actually, really, it's not related to that at all. But it's related to the game, so I think that's just as fun. Also, happy March Madness. We're talking about all the games. We should have done a bracket for like best games.
I thought about it, and then I realized how much I don't want to do that because I already tried to do something similar last year, and it takes way more work than I thought it would.
Yeah. I mean, it's effort.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, if no game, go home, or can't get out the kitchen, get hot. Can't handle the heat. Fuck out of the pool. So I was just trying to see how many like mixed metaphors and shit I could fuck up in that one. Or those aren't metaphors, those are what, like, they're not called sayings. They're, what's the term for it? There's like a name.
I certainly don't know.
It's fuck it. All right, people, we know it's a name, so you can tweet at me, but don't, because I know what it is. So tweet at Sage because he doesn't. Anyways, it reminds me, follow us on the socials, including YouTube, you assholes. We did get like triple or 3 times our subscribers in last week, so that is fun. Building up. Yes. Maybe that's because some people have multiple accounts. We don't know, but either way, keep going so we can do this. We can make it easier. We put a link tree up on all our profiles, so if you click the one link, it will take you to the link tree profile, which is everything: Twitter, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. I think Facebook's on there. So you can get to any of the socials from one link. So it makes it pretty easy. It's just like a 2-click process, one to the link tree and then one to wherever the fuck you're trying to go. So it's pretty easy. So just check out that. But yeah, please like and subscribe to our YouTube. You can find it through our link tree. And all the socials are at GladYouGame Pod on everything. Except TikTok. We should just make a TikTok just so we own the handle on TikTok.
It's not a bad idea.
And then just never have anything there, but like we know it's there. Anyways, that's that spiel. But back to Ghost Tsushima. So they were talking about the combat system, which is fucking awesome. So Ghost Tsushima is awesome. I still need to finish it because it's like every other game. I just do the side quest. The main story's so good, but then I'm like, wow, it's an open world game, so I need to spend 60 days in the side quests. And they are amazing. But the combat system of it is really cool because you get all your different samurai fighting stances. You can go from bow and then the different types of bows, whether short and long bow. The dodging and how you do the one-on-one fights. It's very, very interesting. So they were talking about the combat system recently at Sucker Punch, which is the developer of it. And it took them they basically were working nonstop for 6 years to make that combat system.
That's awesome. I do love.
It also shows like how long it takes to make a game, just one piece of it. That's the combat system, not the entire game.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I always like making the stuff more than playing it. Like combat systems fascinate me. It does not mean that I want to spend time with that combat system. Like there's that one skating game.
It'd be a nightmare.
I think it might just be called
Tony
Skate.
Hawk's. Oh
no, because Tony Hawk is like the simple one.
Yeah,
I think it's Skate where you actually have to like flip like a quarter of one stick and then like pop up and over on the other
the one
stick.
that's like more like this would be more realistic kind of thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. I love that someone went through the effort of doing that. And I like how much you can really like perfect a skill. I plan on doing that zero and investing
you want to do
time
Tony Hawk
into it. Yeah.
I
do need to get the remake. That
I do too. I mean, that's speaking of which, he just retired officially.
No shit.
Finished did his 540, took him a bunch of tries. But because I think he's like 50, or something like 49.
Yeah,
he did it.
Retire as like a meme lord.
He like did it and then like cried on the half pipe and was like, "I'm done." It's like, well, yeah, man, you're old, but that's awesome, man. Okay, relates to games because of the remake. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's definitely like sometimes it's like too realistic, and it's like I just want to enjoy this and have fun. And that's unstressful, but also building the system itself would be like a nightmare.
Yeah,
because it'd be like a lot to do, especially with the combat, the stealth gameplay, the sword fighting duels. And all the additional mechanics they have in that, it was long story short, it was a 6 years paid off well. I mean, it's an incredible fighting combat system, but it could certainly be a lot. So basically, Fleming, who's Brian Fleming, I believe, yeah, Brian Fleming, he's the co-founder of Sucker Punch. He was doing an AMA at the GDC showcase.
That's to Ask Me Anything on Reddit or wherever.
Yeah, and GDC is Game Developers Conference.
There we go.
So that was happening recently. So he had a panel, like a virtual AMA panel, and basically they asked what was the most difficult part of the Sucker Punch team had to work on for Ghost of Tsushima specifically. He said easy answer, and the answer is easy answer, and the answer is combat. The combat system was something that the team worked on. The handful of programs and designers and animators, they worked nonstop for 6 years and built multiple versions of it with multiple approaches. So 6 years doesn't mean the approach that they have now took them 6 years. Time, It means that they probably had like 5 or 6 different iterations over the last 6 years and picked on this. But it probably is they learned stuff from each one and applied it to the existing combat system. So a piece of what happened 6 years ago is probably there today, but it's not like this one thing was started out. But they had to probably realize their approach that, oh, wait, if we do it this way, we're not going to be able to do this. We're not going to do this. Well, now we need to be able to handle this type of combat. We're not going to be able to handle this type of combat.
So from someone that hasn't played it to someone that has played it, could you describe some of like the combat system stuff that would make it unique?
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. So they have a lot of like stealth gameplay. So think of like Splintered Cell, where you're like can hide in the bush and then do like come out of the bush and like do a stealth kill. But then you have like your jump kills where you can just blast in and then you're just kind of like just attacking 15 enemies at once, throwing grenades, shooting longbow or shortbow, both with different kind of trajectories and physics on each bow. And then you have the 2 types of swords as well. So how you do your fighting type. But then there's also like sword fighting duels where it's one-on-one and it's all about blocking.
Yep.
So then you have the whole blocking, dodging mechanics of it, or I guess it's they don't what's it called? Not a parlay.
Parry.
Parry, yeah. So like the parrying mechanics. So some of it, I mean, from an outside perspective, it probably does not seem unique. I would say the most unique is the sort of one-on-one fighting duels. The stealth and stuff you can see in like other games.
Yeah.
It just really,
I mean, just the fact that they switch from one to another depending on the snemrio.
Right. That's what I think is the more unique thing, is that they have all these fighting mechanics in one game, as opposed to the like Splinter Cell would be like the stealth mechanic.
Yeah.
And like Assassin's Creed kind of has similar stuff. It's very similar to that, I would say. Except it just feels more intimate, and it makes you feel like each cut like really matters, and each big dodge, and when you fight the boss fights, like you're actually doing damage. So they just had to incorporate a lot of things. So I would say it's just more of like the combination of all, and the fact that they all feel like good. Like that's one thing when people play FPS games, like, oh, the gun mechanics, how it feel. One thing Call of Duty's always done, it makes you feel, it feels really good. And Bungie is known for like doing the best shooting systems with like Destiny and Halo. They were always like the best, and that's why when 343 took over Halo 4 and 5, like the shooting just didn't feel as like intimate or as like accurate like the hit mechanics did when Bungie had it. Now with the newer one, kind of feels they fixed that a little bit, but Bungie still like considered the best. So it's like they did that with sword fighting pretty much, but they nailed all the mechanics. So no one's like, because then also you have horse riding combat. Like you're on a horse and you can fight from the horse, throw stuff from the horse, shoot bows from the horse. So you have a bunch of you're moving, the target's moving.
Yep. So do they do any kind of like slowdown with that, like they do in Breath of the Wild?
You can upgrade. It's like RPG elements. If you do like some stuff, it's like one of the upgrades is like time slows 10% when you go into this mode and stuff like a focus mode. But if you don't upgrade to that, it's like faster.
Cool.
So it gives you more of like it's like Horizon Zero Dawn is actually a very good example. Yeah, of like similar mechanics done, but. Obviously, I'm not like a samurai or like really that well versed in Japanese culture, but I will say it feels like, from obviously an outside observer, it feels like it makes me feel like this is like very true to that, and like you have different fighting stances and stuff that seem like very true to what that would be, which is something the game has been hailed for from not just its remake of Tsushima Island and all the goodwill that it's built up for there, obviously. And how accurate they've rebuilt that island, but apparently a lot of the things that it gets is from people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. They did the fighting mechanic is like true to like that style of fighting when you switch those hands. So cool. A lot of that is really cool. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. And I really just want to talk about it because not that other teams don't make great fighting things. It's just that the 6 years thing is kind of something that there was a point where like I get in conversations where people are like, oh yeah, the game sucks. Probably took like 6 months to make, and I'm like, no, I mean like games can suck, but like it's gonna take a minimum of a year because of like X, Y, and Z, and like, but generally probably 2 years. Like even when like Madden 21 comes out, like it's not like that started the day 20 came out, right? Like 21 development was happening in tandem with 20, right, and they're using the same foundation
like that.
Right, they'd be using the same like physics engine foundation, but they're still like, even though you might be like, there's no big change in Madden, like we're like you said, which I agree with, but they're still, even with that small thing, they're working on that for over a year, probably like a year and a half. I would say it's probably every development iteration of the Maddens.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of like the last 6 months of Madden 20, they've been starting 21, something like that. There's probably some overlap like that.
Yep.
It's not like the day one ends the other. But like people are like, yeah, there's no way. Look at the updates. I'm like, just because of what you see, like they're making small tweaks, and these small tweaks, and that's like this combat system. Like people would see it and be like, oh, this is like all these other games. Just take that. It's like, no, this took 6 years because they had to make sure they made the combat system that makes sense for their look and feel in their game, and then they wanted to make sure it was accurate.
Yeah,
you can just put a shitty combat system in, right? Like 343 kind of did. Not that it was shitty, but it was shitty when you go to the other Halos, for example, and it's just like, there is like rationale for this. So it's like some people I more want to mention because I think it's overlooked that when you're doing even the small things, not that the combat's small, it's a pretty big part of the game.
Yeah.
But everything you do in games takes time. And just because you do them in real life and it's fast, it's like creating in the game. It's not like, oh, that's like this. It's like that one piece could be years of the development cycle.
Yeah.
And it's like,
dude, I've watched videos. I mean, completely different, but Breath of the Wild, where they're
the climbing
going like frame by frame, just breaking down every attack that they have and like how it skips frames to get from like a crawling animation, a running animation, or a walking animation into that, and then how that finishes and goes back to like regular. And that's Breath of the Wild, something that's relatively simple. And then you get something like Ghost of Tsushima, where you have like all these different stances, all these different combat types, all these different things.
Oh yeah,
and
you're talking
I can
about just
only
for
imagine
combat.
like how,
yeah. I mean, well, to be honest, at Breath of the Wild, one of the things that was like game changing in the way that you can climb everywhere.
Yep,
that's what it changed in open world gameplay. It's like, oh, you see that mountain? You can fucking, as long as you have the stamina, you can fucking get up to literally anywhere.
Every single thing.
Whereas like Elder Scrolls is like there's an invisible wall. It's like you can kind of climb a lot of stuff, but then eventually, now they're incorporating that into a lot of other games. But that climbing mechanics feature is something that's huge, and obviously Assassin's Creed does that. But the scale of Breath of the Wild was always bigger than Assassin's Creed, and I think like Valhalla is closer to that now because you can kind of climb everything.
Okay.
But from a scale wise thing, But yeah, that was something that I'm sure the climbing part was a major part of that development. I don't like, I've never seen any documents about that, but I would bet that's like the equivalent of the Ghost of Tsushima combat mechanic was probably the climbing system, which people would be like, you're just fucking climbing. It's like, yeah, but there's like a lot that goes into it outside of just like, it looks like a simple motion. Like I'm just attacking you with a sword, but it's not just that. That's why a lot of developers are actually interviewed. I think this was at GDC. It came out 2 weeks ago. It was at it might have been GDC. Either way, they said every developer, regardless of studio, agrees that doors are the most annoying thing to develop out of anything you could develop in a video game. Doors, which everybody's like, that's an example of a simple thing. Everybody was like, why is that? But it's because the door, there's something after the door. You have to do the mechanic of open door where it's like all this stuff. It seems very simple, but the way, depending on the physics engine you built and stuff like that, it's like the trains in Fallout where they're like actually a hat. Like a character is running with it as opposed to developing a full working train. Yeah. Like depending on the engine you're using, they treat the doors as like, it could be literally anything, not actually a concept of a door. And then you also have to go somewhere. You change, it could be changing environments. It's like that.
You have to decide how the camera goes from inside to outside.
That's why a lot of
opening
games
the door from the left side of it or the right side of it is completely different.
Right. You got to make sure the camera doesn't get stuck. And there's a bunch of shit. That's why a lot of games, like sometimes like will have the doors like broken open, so you just don't have to do that. There's no but the ones you do, generally it's also like a motion. So like instead of walking through the door, it's like, do you want to open this? And you hit the button, and it's kind of like, it's not a cutscene, but it's a treated action that's like you're not really doing like super fast. Even when you open doors in like fighting games, if you run through, you'll like burst through it, right? Or you can slowly open it, but like they take time to develop just the fucking doorway thing, and it's crazy. I'll look it up.
I think it's GTA. I forget which one it was that I noticed it, where all the doors just open the opposite way of the character, so they don't have to deal with the animation of the character open a door and stepping through. It's just like you push whatever door you are going through open, but if you go the other way, it swings the other way, which you don't often have double swing doors, especially in most like homes and whatever, unless you're in a like Western saloon. You don't have the double swing
right. You
doors.
don't have to do the whole Red Dead Redemption thing. It was the BBC did like a whole report about it, actually. So it was like a social media conversation they were having, and then they just made like a review of it from the BBC, which is like, I don't even know what that is. It's the British
broadcasting company.
Oh, yeah, that's easy enough then. And you can go through all of it. They asked a bunch of different, from AAA to indie devs, but they go and like a lot of like, because there's a bunch of bugs. Like a character could end up running on that spot because they get stuck, flying up or down because they're not attached to a navigation mesh, which tells them where they can walk or can't walk. A character opens the door and moves from one navigation mesh to another. They're at risk of getting lost in the navigation mesh because the one room to the other room. That's what I was talking about. They have to but you wouldn't think about this because you're like, oh, whatever. So, and like NPCs specifically, like this is like a problem with the NPCs going in and out. Because there's all these like little dumb little bugs in each thing. And like you said, like the animation and stuff like that. But like, it's just, and people like will simplify and be like, it's a fucking door, but it's like there's a lot. And it's also like lining up the character's hand to make sure it does open it and how it closes it, as well as like how the door sounds. And so there's a bunch of it's a bunch of stuff that happens when you open a door.
God forbid you just want to like peek through it in a stealth game and not like fully swing it open and
right. But then that's like a little easier because the character is staying in place, so they're not like losing that navigation match. It's like when they're traversing through it, but still like that's probably treated as its own separate thing. It's like when you're like running through these things. That's like,
I mean, we as fully operational adults still have trouble whether it's push pull.
Yeah, people walk in the doors regardless of age now. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen that in a video game where like a character will just have a random encounter that pushes instead of pulls the door the wrong way.
It's a pull. We need to get that. I want. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. But yeah, I just thought that, and that kind of related to Sucker Punch. Not really, because there's not a ton. I'm trying to think of doors in Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think there is.
They have the sliding ones, right?
They do have the sliding ones, and you can stab through them.
Yes.
Yeah, which those sliding doors are dope. But yeah, so there's it's just kind of interesting. But yeah, so combat system, whether it's combat system, or to something as simple as a fucking door. It's difficult and it doesn't come off just as the simplest thing. But let's move on to something. Speaking of combat, PlayStation bought Evo, which is the fighting game championship series, which it announces the 2020 event dates. And these are like the things that Nintendo people like playing a lot.
Yep.
So now
what games are in
now
the
it's Sony
Evo Fighting Championship?
Yeah, so it's the Evolution Championship Series. Nintendo even recorded a statement on it because this is a huge part of Nintendo's like funding and stuff. Nintendo has enjoyed engaging with fans in the past Evo tournaments and wish the show's organizers the best for their new venture. We will continue to assess Evo and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Super Smash Brothers tournament activities. So Super Smash Brothers is one of these games.
That's what Evo. I would assume. Are they saying that they're not going to be part of it, or they're just?
We will continue to assess and other opportunities as we plan for the future, basically. So they're basically. It sounds like they could or could not. It's like a very like we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, that sounds like kind of a shot across the bow type thing. Like
yeah. So I mean, but it was a big move. It's like, and it's an interesting move because it was. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. It's not like Sony's bought a new studio, right? Like Xbox is buying all these studios.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks you have to buy the studios. The Evo fighting shit is fucking huge, and it's something that we didn't know was huge, and we kind of talked about it in a previous podcast, but. The fighting game community, specifically the actual tournaments, are like massive money makers.
Yeah.
So Sony owning the Evolution Championship tournament is kind of crazy because it's like, yeah, that's not like a game specifically, but it's part of it. So let me explain. For example, last year's Evo, they announced this year's Evo, which is in August. So it's gonna be Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, Mortal Kombat 11, and Guilty Gear Strive. So those are the games from that. I would bet Guilty Gear probably some people know about if they're familiar with fighting games or not. But I would bet Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat are pretty well known.
Yeah.
As for the other games, Evo is still open to all platforms. So PlayStation, RTS, which is the other company that are allowing teams to work to community support additional fighting games as a whole. But this doesn't concretely answer whether games like Nintendo Super Smash Brothers will still premiere at future events. So it's still like basically they're open to it and they support other fighting games that aren't just on the Sony system or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like the PlayStation Evolution Championship Series. But I think to be honest, I don't know it's really up to PlayStation. I think it's more Nintendo deciding if they want to still participate.
Yeah.
For PlayStation, today's announcement marks an exciting step in our journey to foster the growth of the fighting game community in esports and super competitive gamers widely on our consoles. So specifically as on our consoles, says PlayStation. Fighting games are hugely popular on PlayStation consoles, with gamers logging more than 1.1 billion gameplay hours in 2020 alone. So it's like, I mean, that's obviously all PlayStation centric, which it makes sense if Sony's saying it. That's why they paid all this money for it. It's like, yeah, okay, that's why they bought it.
To be fair, I think Smash is like a bit of an outlier for Nintendo. Like, it's part of their history and it's been around forever. But like, if you look at their general lineup, it doesn't quite fit with, I mean, all like the racing and family friendly type things. It's family friendly because they make it that way, but I don't think.
But it's still a huge part of their market. I mean, I would say
Absolutely.
Smash is probably one of the highest selling ones they get.
I agree, but I still think it's like almost an anomaly for what they set out to do. Kind of like how GoldenEye,
but they love like
became so popular.
Yeah,
not because that's what they were planning on. It's just some people took the risk, did it, and then it became like the biggest freaking thing that happened to gaming that decade.
Yeah. But they do love, like, Nintendo does love that. It does have examples with fighting game championships too. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, it's just interesting. I hope they get more people in. But yeah, Street Fighter has always been part of this. Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are like the bells of the ball always at this thing. Tekken did ever since it kind of came back. I would say Street Fighter. I mean, they literally have a Street Fighter Evo edition. Like, it's definitely, I would say Street Fighter is probably the number one.
Yeah.
Which are gonna always all Sony stuff. But that was kind of an interesting thing. And I know we don't talk about fighting games a lot, but just thought it was worth mentioning because it's definitely an interesting thing that came up and I think got a lot of people by surprise. And it's fucking cool. I mean, I'm not. I mean, personally, I don't give a shit about these games because I don't play them a lot. And it's mainly because I don't give a shit about them because I suck at them. But it's like I like to traverse and get a full story, and these all have stories. Now they have stories they didn't really used to, but you know,
Mortal Kombat always had a story, and it always sucked.
Yeah, and like I think it's gotten better, but it's I don't know. I would say that that's why I was kind of always out of it. But if you like it, fucking great. I'm happy for it, and maybe now I'll get more into it. But it definitely it's not. But I wanted to mention it because it seemed cool. Now, anyway, speaking of Sony, this is like a big week for Sony. They also dropped another piece of information, which is heavily related to like 10 of our fucking podcasts. And because we talked about it, and I just want to say, I want to fucking say I called it because I called it. And so the PlayStation VR 2, we know is not coming out this year, but they did give us an in-depth look at their controllers. So VR 2 controllers are out. They are absolutely not the Move controllers.
Yeah.
They are kind of very similar to the Oculus and Valve Index, a little bit different. Honestly, this meme was going around online, which is excellent. Is they literally look like the controller version of the Sony Ericsson logo. If you look at the Sony Ericsson, it is almost exactly these PlayStation controllers. They have a name. They are Orb.
That makes sense. They are Orbish.
Yeah. So, or I don't know if that's the official name, but right now they're calling the PlayStation Orb controllers. So, but it's in quotes, so it seems more official.
Yeah. The orb encompasses the hand instead of being
right.
on top.
And what I said about the PS5, PlayStation VR 2, which will combine finger tracking, which we know, with the PS5's haptic and adaptive feedback to controllers to provide a much deeper sense of presence, a stronger feeling of immersion in VR experiences. Exactly what I fucking said. They look exactly the way I said it. I could tell. Honestly, anyone that did 10 podcasts on us probably would have guessed that too. But they look pretty cool, and I'm actually pretty excited about this because I'm like, thank God they moved from like the VR one was like, let's just try to do this, and we already have the Move controllers, so let's just do it with that. They weren't really designed for the VR. We just had them.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, this is designed with this
in mind.
We still don't know. We know the VR 2 is single cord. We don't know the refresh rate or the resolution. We just know it's single cord. Again, I'm open to it. Open to it now more with these controllers. They look pretty fucking sweet. It's very similar. It's the Orbit. It's basically exactly like the Oculus controllers, except they're like the orb goes around your whole hand as opposed to just like around your thumb.
It has, area for your fingers to kind of articulate in, and then like an area for your thumb to articulate.
Right. So it's literally a mix between the Oculus and the Valve Index, because the Valve Index has the thing where your fingers press on it here, so it can do finger sensing.
Yeah, and then the area above your thumb
for that additional tracking part, which is like the Oculus, which the Index has too. So it's like, which is I mean, this is exactly what I said.
Yep.
I just feel very like, what's the word?
Vindicated.
Yeah. Finally got one of them today. All right, so let's, in a similar manner to Valve's knuckle controllers. Thank you.
Vindication.
Vindication. So hard. Sony says this will allow. So
I should just bring a dictionary in.
So basically the essential part of that is because finger detection will also be implemented on top of the adaptive and haptic feedback, meaning it knows where all 5 fingers are. Similar to the Valve's knuckle controllers, especially the controller will be able to detect your fingers without the need to press buttons, meaning it's just tracking them regardless. Sony says this will allow for more natural gestures during gameplay. Fucking love it. So right now,
I'm giving Justin a natural gesture right now.
Yeah. Flip it. I was literally about to be like, oh, he's giving me the eagle. And it's like, that's just the bird. He's saying fuck. So we know it's going to have, the controllers will also feature a tracking ring at their base and will be tracked by the piece of VR2 headset with the camera. Each side features an analog stick, a grip button, a trigger button, 2 button inputs. The left controller also has a create button, whereas the right controller has the option button.
Okay, so it sounds almost
similar to like breaking the PS5 controller in half.
Yeah, much, but that's what the Oculus or the Quest 2 is.
Right, exactly. So Sony said the prototype of these controllers will be in the hands of the development community soon, and there's so much to share of the next generation of VR and PS5. So they confirmed that the PSVR, they confirmed it in February. Single wire, better resolution, better field of view, better refresh rate. but also that wouldn't happen this year. But they just, and that was like out of nowhere. Now it's March. They're showing off the controllers. It seems like, I know they said it's a year away, but now it seems like they're fucking moving on this thing. Like, I don't know what, maybe the reaction to VR2 was like very positive, because when you're like, all right, it's at least a year away, and they're like, by the way, the next month, it's like, it almost seems like they're building up. It's like, well, I feel like they're going to show it to us soon then. If it's like, because you're giving us so much information, I feel like they're going to have to just be like, all right, this is what we're doing. Yeah. It's just not going to be ready for another year. Just like when they do like the announced consoles, they're like, yeah, next year will be PS5 or whatever. You learn about it at E3 the year before, and then it comes out. It's like, and that we know that E3 is back this year. This seems like they're kind of edging us to get in, to get that our favorite word in.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to get edge, and then at E3, bam, just going to bust that nut.
Yeah, that, and I think the controller
all over the face.
The controller is probably like the simplest part of.
I don't know. I would say it's
design wise and ergonomically, and like what they put into it has like a huge implication. But at the end, when you like put the devices side by side and look at the actual technology within them, I think that the controllers are way more just simpler. Like there's
possibly, although, but the whole point of VR is the hand tracking. I mean, that's it. The hand tracking sucks. The VR is not going to work.
Absolutely.
I do think that the thing that everybody wants to know is what the fuck is the resolution, refresh rate, and field of view, right? Like that, which is what I think you're getting at. It's like, what are those things? Because that's really what matters. Like, what are we actually talking about here?
Yeah.
The single cord line was a big information to pass, but that also means like, it should have very good resolution, because if you're single cording it, we know that it's harder to do over the wire. Like if you're doing Bluetooth, things like that, just like when you do a wireless connection to a wire connection, you're going to get a better sustainable connection. Now, if it's like, oh, only a little bit better, that makes it be like, why the fuck didn't you just do Bluetooth, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it's like, this is significant, then it's like, okay, like now we're talking here. So, but it's a lot of promise, because we still haven't seen the new camera. If it's not going to use the the HD camera that's there, or if there's going to be a new like depth of field camera they release alongside of this, because there is a PS5 camera, but I'm not sure they confirmed that the current PS5 camera is, or they're going to make a specific PS5 camera with that, because that's called the PS5 HD camera. So I'm not really sure it's actually a depth camera, which it needs to be a depth camera to understand where where you are in the room and all that. So it is,
I mean, it can also
pretty interesting.
Like it would be better to be a depth camera, but with all the other tools and sensors and things in the VR, I don't think it necessarily needs to be it. I think it can kind of
it would just be more accurate
infer it. Exactly.
Right. Yep. Yeah. But like there was other ways that people get around that with the current VR stuff of what we know.
Exactly.
And things like that.
Yep.
So I just think they're going to. I'm trying to actually look up if they confirm that. The only reason I'm saying that is because I don't want to. I hate correcting myself after, but
yeah, because that's kind of what the Oculus does with.
But it's also like
fingers,
what you're paying for. Like I would get the PS5 camera, but I'm not going to if you need another one for the VR.
Yes,
is my point.
No, that makes sense. Because Oculus has finger tracking, but a lot of it comes from the camera. So there are parts where like your hands turned around that you actually lose that tracking. So it can do it without like a specific finger tracker, but it would be better if it had the technology built into the controller, which sounds like
they have it.
Does, so.
Yeah, they do. But also the camera to get like the field of view, so it knows where objects are and things like that. Like the Oculus has like 6 cameras on the headset, which are all like little depth cameras, so they understand where they are. So that's what I'm saying. If it's not, like they need a depth camera to understand where objects are.
Which the easiest way to do that's just bifocal. Put two
cameras in there. Yeah, right. It's just almost like making 3D. But which is just using different refresh rates basically.
So when you have 6 cameras, it's like
but so that's pretty interesting. And I mean it's, put it this way, we don't know much about it, but it's promising. And it sounds like they're just going to come all over the face of everyone at E3, which we're looking forward to, right? It just you're looking forward to that facial. So it confirms digital big facial big PlayStation VR facial for Stage is what we're good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's helpful for your pores and stuff.
We got a new VR. We're gonna put it on your face.
That new headset's just gonna blast all over your fucking face. That's what's gonna happen. Speaking of blasting all over your face, Marvel's Avengers announced its 2021 roadmap. And we got some new character additions. So like this is the game I said, like when it came out, like it was okay. I think it will get better. And it's always a joke, like, oh, the game sucks. Like, is it all there or not? And I was like, well, look at No Man's Sky. It was kind of like not all there. They built it up. This could be the same thing. And I think what I said was, this is going to be like in a year from now, the game we want it to be and awesome, or it's going to be like, we're discontinuing it, kind of like fucking Anthem and things like that just failed. All of this makes me feel very confident that this is going to keep improving. So they've been improving the game a lot recently. They're going to have the next gen updates coming in March and stuff like that soon. They have Hawkeye, the next gen updates. That's all. It's all coming in March, spring. They have more stuff, but they're not also increasing the power levels and letting you use all the characters and all the maps. Then they're also adding the Red Room stuff, Red Room Takeover, which is the Red Room is directly related to Black Widow, which is when the Black Widow movie comes out. So they're obviously now doing, it's official, they're now going to do tie-ins with the movies. Cool. So this is kind of like an actual MCU game, even though it's supposed to be exterior to that. They're going to have like MCU flavored content around when MCU stuff comes out. Nice. Because the stories are different, obviously, than that. And it's not like the same world. But they have like a bunch of story updates. Black Panther also was a newly announced one that's coming. They are working on Spider-Man, who's exclusive to the PlayStation, but he's not going to be ready before Black Panther. That's like summer and beyond, so that's a little while from now. But they're going to have a whole new Wakanda biodome when he comes out, new story, new fraction. My point is, it sounds like, and this is all like just free DLC, it looks like. They're just building on more and more, and they have a 2021 roadmap, and then it kind of obviously implies like past. So this is all you want to see. This is everything you wanted to see, that they are doing this and improving it. And even though they lost money on it, they're still apparently making money. This is exactly what I thought would happen. And when I was saying it could go two ways, but I feel like it's going to go the way that, like, in a year, it's going to be the game that the Marvel's Avengers game we really wanted. Yeah, I think it's now becoming that. I still don't think it's there yet, but I think everything I'm seeing, and if they do these little improvements to it, which this whole roadmap, which is pretty cool to look at, it's very similar to roadmaps that I actually make at like work, like every month for our products. It's kind of like interesting to see, and basically it's clear they're listening to fan feedback and all these obviously are fixing bugs and stuff, and they're not going to mention every bug in the roadmap's like big picture items and things that are like changing and like stuff. So but the power level's increasing, playing at any combination on your favorite heroes, which is something I didn't like about it, is that this map you can only play with like Hulk whatever because of story reasons. That makes sense when you're playing it through with the story, but maybe I want to replay that map. I want to replay it. Just let me just like have anybody.
I mean, that's a great rule to have. Just like
So the first playthrough
story, and then like when you have your friends over and you're just dicking
around, let's just fuck around and with whoever you want, whoever you unlocked. And it sounds like that's what they're unlocking in spring. Yeah, I like that they're incorporating them, like hey, Black Widow's coming out, so we're gonna have a Red Room area and stuff. Like that's fucking cool. We're gonna increase, add new villains, add new players and things like that. Power level increase. That's like 4 months from now. So it's like they are going to add additional stuff for that. They're making post level 50 progression. So which is like the max level. So like basically end game shit, multiplayer mega high. So just basically stuff more focused on that. Outfits inspired by the MCU, which is just kind of cool. You can get your favorite costumes at. Yeah. Their main ongoing improvements is balance tuning, gear and progression, collectible comic system, and matchmaking. So that's like the online matchmaking. I mean, basically, they're doing everything they should be doing, is what I'm saying. So it's still not there today, but it is definitely moving up to it. And the cool thing is, if you want to replay the mission types, like it says any combination of heroes, and let's say you're a big Hulk guy, but so is your friend, you can play with 4 Hulks. You can just be like different colored Hulks, which is like fucking cool. So it's like it would prevent you playing from the same hero on the team. This will apply to all mission types except the newly replayable campaign. They also redid the campaign, reassemble campaign replay. So they redid some of the campaign to kind of fix it. Nice. In ways that people had issues with. Now, since the next gen versions are coming out, it's kind of refresh. So again, when you do that, you can't, and it does confirm, when you play it once through the story, it's the story's progression of that map. Okay. But then you want to play that biome with 4 Hulks, you can do it because you complete it. And I think that's great. I think you get the story, you get the feeling of it. And then it's like, which I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking more like, oh, you can only be Bruce Banner and like Tony Stark in this map. Not like, oh, I want like 4 Tony Starks.
Yeah.
4 Iron Mans. That's how I was. Yeah, that's how
yeah.
I was thinking about it. But it's like, yeah, we don't give a shit. It's like we unlocked. Yes, you can be whatever character, but you can also be the same character.
Yeah.
Because this is like just have fun.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that because then it's like it makes it feel more like, oh, let's just jump in and I can level up because each one of the characters that you play, you level up them individually. So like your level is like Tony's level is 47, but your Hulk level might be like 24.
Yep.
Being able to play any map and being able to play as Hulk, if you're matchmaking with somebody online, is helpful because then it's like, oh, he took the guy I'm trying to level up. Now it's like you can level him up no matter what. Yeah. Which I think is pretty cool. So that way it doesn't lock you into being like, well, now I got to go matchmake with somebody else and potentially drop out of this game.
Yeah.
Which people do. So again, I don't think it's there. I think it's definitely getting there. And this is exactly the direction I was hoping for. So assuming they follow this and they hit these marks, I think this is like, I think that was like September-ish. It was, yeah, because when it came out, it was like September 2020. It was like September 9th. I'll look that up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely remember you being like super excited about it and playing it for like quite a while that week. But my being
it got delayed.
Less,
that's definitely wrong.
Less excited. Because it was. It just
September 4th
felt like a little lackluster, but it was a cool game overall.
Right.
That because when it starts off, I feel like the further it got in, the more disappointed I got. Which was the opposite of their intention because like you start with 2 characters and then you get like more and more and more, but it was just like something felt off balance. So I hope they keep balancing it out. I hope they keep doing their thing. And
I liked how they kind of like redid a little bit of the campaign. I don't know what they did. It's called the Reassemble Campaign Replay, so maybe it's a little different. And now they also made your harm room, which is like your home base, is now more customizable. So you kind of put stuff where you want it and shit like that. Yeah. So it feels more like you can make it Sage's like home base as opposed to just like this built for you, which is always just makes you feel more invested. Yeah. And the upgraded version came out March 18th, so a couple days ago. So Friday, right? Or Thursday?
Sure.
All right, it's the 21st today. So subtract that many times. But so I think that's something that's pretty cool. Because I didn't realize that, so I'm definitely going to upgrade mine and just check out the PS5 version, and we'll check it out. But yeah, so it was September 4th came out. I said September. I was 5 days off. Pretty not terrible. Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, then it's like you said, it's like, I liked it because I love Marvel and stuff like that. But I still was like, I feel like it's not that game there. And I was trying to be very honest about it. Like, obviously, I'm biased, but I can accept this is not the game it should be.
Like, it's still fun as hell playing as like your favorite characters that you've been following for years.
It doesn't feel like Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
But it's getting there. But the point is, they've definitely been keeping at it, and I think by September 4th this year, you're gonna be like, this is kind of the Avengers game you want. Maybe you don't want to wait that long, but like Rainbow Six Siege, which I think is actually one of the relations I made in September. Rainbow Six Siege is a very different game than it was when it was released. It wasn't actually heavily played when it was released. And then now it's like one of the biggest FPS like competition games because it found its niche and it got better at it, and then it's perfect. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with that. There was another one I wanted to look at. I thought was just interesting. I saw trying to find it. It's by completion rates, and the reason why I'm thinking about it is I'll just do it for trivia. Now that I think about it, it's like I'll just do it for trivia.
Yeah.
So let's move from that. So that was the Avengers. The other thing that happened is SXSW, which is South by Southwest, which you might generally relate to
movies and stuff.
Yeah, because there's obviously like the film showcase, and they got all that cool stuff. I think they have a music side.
Everything.
They do like comedy. They have a comedy festival, all that stuff. But they also years ago added gaming, which I think is pretty cool because it kind of puts it up there with like films, comedy, stand-up, music. Yeah, it's like you're accepting. You accept us as like a true thing, and this is not the first year they've done it. They've done it for a few years. It's just nice to see that a massive one is doing it. So we got the 2021 winners came out this year. So these are obviously all 2020 games, very similar to like the Game of the Year awards ones. So kind of just like drill through those. So Game of the Year winner was the game that, well, you can guess real quick, but
was it Last of Us 2?
No, it was not. It was the game that we were both like, I haven't played it. I really want to play it. Is Hades.
Okay. Yep.
I heard a lot of good things about it. I still have not got to play it.
The worst part is the more I look at gameplay, the more I'm like, I don't know if this is kind of my game.
I think that the story apparently is a big part of it, which is so weird in the top down kind of game that seems weird. But I want to try just be like, all right, like let's see what this is all about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Pillars of Eternity, like had that type of thing, and
that's true. So did GTA 1 and 2. People forget.
This is true.
GTA 3 is the one that brought you in the household. So then their other one is, so they have Video Game of the Year, which is Hades, but then they have Indie Game of the Year, which is pretty cool because they're like, we know it's going to be hard to compete with these like AAA games. Even though I think Hades would probably I guess Hades is a AAA game, but it's kind of close to that. So I think it's cool that they were like, well, let's just make it so just indie games too. So this, exemplifies overall excellence and creates a distinct gaming experience across all platforms and genres. It's the same tagline they use for Game of the Year. But that was Deep Rock Galactic, which I actually didn't play. But that definitely we'll look that up now, I guess. But they also have Tabletop Game of the Year. So they have they break
it. What was a Tabletop Game of the Year?
I'm getting to it.
Do it.
But it's cool. They do like video game, which you got your AAA titles generally. Indies can obviously still probably get into that. Then Indie Game of the Year would be cool to see an indie game win both. And then so Tabletop Game of the Year. So this is all gaming. It's not just that.
Yep.
So awarded to the game that exemplifies overall excellence, ingenuity of any tabletop game in the genre. I guess I should have brought up the nominees, but I'll just tell you the winner. One I actually never heard of, The Search for Planet X.
I haven't heard of that one either.
Might have to try that though. We're both D&D guys who fuck around with some other stuff. It'd be interesting to see like what this bitch did. What made this guy kind of excited. So I know you come to us for all your most informative information. Dude, obviously,
even just going to like I had a game night with a friend and we went to Target and just looked through
Target,
looked through like
classy
all
bitches.
The board games that they have. Like
they have a lot.
Yeah.
There's actually a place in Westchester that has like 1,000.
That's crazy.
Have you been there? Gameskeep?
Nuh-uh.
Oh yeah, I went there once. I literally spent an hour there because like I was like, I'm just gonna get like what did I end up getting? I got Mysterium and I always want to call it House on Haunted Hill. Betrayal at Hill House?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I get the Netflix show thing fucks me up.
Here. I do the same thing.
Everybody just calls it Betrayal anyways. It's But I got Betrayal Mysterium and that's what I went there to get. I knew I was getting those things.
Yeah.
I still stayed an hour there because there's so many, and they have like all the ones from the niche to like every expansion of D&D to like all this shit. You just kind of get lost there. And this is right before COVID. So I like didn't have like I tried to go in and out of places now. Like I'm not trying to like hang out. But so I was like hanging out there. And then they have a second room that every night of the week they have a different board game competition
like played oh cool.
So they have like 10 tables and there's like 80 people. Well, again, I don't know what they're doing now. But like would show up and you'd all play D&D and go through that. And they either have separate, gives you a place to all play it if you don't have that to go, or if you want to try new games and people are playing it, you can go and join a campaign. So that's pretty fucking cool. Hopefully, maybe actually Vaccinated would do some. Maybe we should call them and do like live podcast there or something like that.
Yeah.
Set something up there. That would be fucking cool. Maybe we'll play Search for Planet X. There we go. Just tie it all in together. That would be pretty fucking cool. Yeah, Target does have a lot, but you should definitely check out the game or Games Work. It's something.
It was just like a weird thing because like I've been used to just going and like you might see one or two. Like they recently brought Cards Against Humanity like onto the shelves and stuff like that. Yeah. But for the most part, it was just like your Sorries and your Monopoly and whatever like Fortnite version of Monopoly they had updated to.
Right.
Now you go there and it is like all new experiences that I've never even
because they're huge now. I mean, now the nerd stuff is cool. Like D&D is like not like a hidden thing. So tabletop games are kind of like video game stuff. We're now the mainstay. We're now the mainstay. So it's not like some people probably would still consider it nerdy shit, but like everybody likes nerdy shit now. Yeah. Or everybody is now.
It is funny too that there is like this kind of like wave before the thing where like you can still stay on the cutting edge of nerddom where like video games were getting like popular and more mainstream, but like tabletops were and
it was still like, oh, that's like ultra nerd stuff. Yeah.
And now like that's becoming more mainstream, but like VR was kind of weird. And then like since the Quest came out, like VR is kind of getting cool. And I'm sure there's some other cutting edge that I haven't even discovered yet.
You're like, that's for nerds. Yeah. I know it's going to be like we're going to go full circle to like novels are for nerds.
Yeah.
Like who reads books? Like
who plays sports?
Yeah. Fucking nerd.
Wait, you play it in real life and not just like
Madden? Ew. You get dirty? Ew, that's so nerdy. It is wild just like our generation progressing through that, because it was still like we came on the hint of like it was still like looked frowned upon and looked down on to play games and D&D for when we were first like growing up. Then high school, the transition started happening a little bit where it's like D&D was still ostracized or whatever.
The fact that people are like buying video games for the purpose of exercising now.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's how you get it.
Completely 180 from like when I was a kid.
Go outside.
Like, go the fuck outside.
Throw some rocks. Video games. Yeah. Throw snowballs at cars. Or don't do that. But yeah, so like, and then now it's like, yeah, exactly. Like it was still kind of made fun of like, what are you doing playing video games all day and stuff? And now it's like those people are also playing video games. And it's where really a lot of it has to do with like the iPhone. It made like nerd stuff cool. And it's like, oh wow.
Yep.
Cell phones are cool. And it's like, oh, touchscreen, this is cool. And it's like, yeah, you can make anything cool if you like take time.
Yeah.
And you guys just realize what we knew the whole time is this shit also is cool. And then now it's like, but now the crazy part is even the really nerdy shit is some of the coolest stuff. I mean, look at Stranger Things. One of the biggest hit shows, completely based off D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons.
The whole show is based off
Game of Thrones.
Right. The whole show is based off D&D.
Yeah.
And exactly. Now Game of Thrones are like, well, that's not really D&D. I'm like, it's a video version of D&D.
Yeah.
And then like, but that kind of incorporated more people to be like, yeah, I love this shit. And it's like, yeah, it's okay. People are allowed to like this crazy shit. And it's like, you know what? If you gave it a chance, you might too. So anyways, that was a weird tangent, but yeah, and it's cool to see that. So long story short, maybe we'll play Search for Planet X there. I'd be down for that. VR game of the year. And it's Half-Life Alyx, which pretty much blanket destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to play it so fucking bad. They did the Matthew Crump Cultural Innovation Award. It's awarded the game that best challenges the quote unquote norm of everyday gaming and offers a culturally innovative view of a game world, character, or gameplay. And the winner of this, which makes a lot of sense, is Dreams, because really you can incorporate anything into that. Media Monocle and Sony Interactive Entertainment. So, and to kind of tie around our whole conversation today, excellence in animation, art, and visual achievement awarded the game with the most well-designed, stunning visuals, including animation effects and graphics. Ghost of Tsushima. So it kind of like pulls that in, which that deserves it. I mean, it's a stunning looking game. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Game design was Hades. Score through music. Ori and the Will of the Wisp, which makes sense. Multiplayer, Deep Rock Galactic, which is that indie game that also won the best. Excellence in narrative, best storyline dialogue. Now you can say,
Last of Us Part 2.
Yes, which I would. Nothing is going to beat that, because
that makes sense.
Audio design. It's good to see this game actually get this, because it does, and I feel like it was kind of forgotten. Is Doom Eternal. I mean, if you think about that game is like an audio nightmare for them, and it's probably like, it's really more of it should be like excellence in Foley, because that really all that game is like the sound. There's a lot of audio design, but it's like you hear all the. It's going and every 20 seconds.
The score is such a big part of that game, but it's so well balanced with all the action that's happening, where it like is still driving and still like such a huge part of it without overtaking everything that you're doing. Otherwise, it becomes like a kill floor music video.
Yeah. Interesting enough, I actually saw that this company just got Doom Eternal to run at 1,000 frames per second. Which is pretty cool, because they said in theory you could hit the ID software was like, oh yeah, it could hit 1,000 frames per second, and they've only ever shown ID can only ever do it 400 in their development studio.
Yeah.
But they're like, the engine can theoretically support this. So they basically kept freezing this overclock graphics card, and they got to 1,000 frames.
Put it like cold temperature freezing.
Yeah, no, they were pouring liquid nitrogen
That's great.
on it, and they kept playing, and they had the game playing, and you'd see them doing it, and it was like going 1,000 frames per second. It was crazy. And it's like, dude, that's nightmare, man. That's awesome.
So that's the new thing in PC gaming.
Yeah, you gotta show
fucking cryo cooled graphics cards.
Oh yeah, gotta, because it gets so hot. You gotta cool that shit off. And then the final one was excellence in technical achievement, a game that pushed the capabilities of technical and programming to the furthest or most effectively.
I'm actually gonna call that right now.
Okay.
That there's going to be some fucking liquid cooled PC with an attachment that you can put some kind of like fucking cryo shit on it, like that you get like CO2 cartridges for your
I mean, kind of like, well, like my PC, for example, has like liquid cooling.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be
cryo
like
cooling,
an attachment that you could put some kind of coolant in it and like boost your computer for 8 hours.
Probably, yeah, and it would just be able to like handle that. Yeah, it's definitely possible. And the winner, so I do actually have the nominees. I wish I would have done the nominees and then told you the winners, but whatever.
Yeah.
Technical achievement. I agree, though. That probably will exist, that kind of computer. Technical achievement was Microsoft Flight Sim, which I agree. That was like that was a technical marvel.
Yeah.
And it is, not was. I mean, it's crazy. It's good to see it back, and it came back huge.
Map of the entire world to the detail that they have is,
and the fact that they're like, oh yeah, you got to do this 10-hour flight to wherever, and it's like, how long does it take? 10 hours. Like, it's like gonna take that long. Crazy. But I did kind of want to go over some of the nominees. One nominee of Indie Game of the Year, specifically, wanted to just give it a little shout out. One of the nominees was Bugsnax, baby.
Oh shit.
Bugsnax got nominated. Tabletop Indie Game.
For Game
of
the Year.
Yeah.
Game of the Year. All right.
Indie Game of the Year.
Okay.
Last of Us Part 2 was nominated for and Doom Eternal. It's basically the same nominees
as
for the Game of the Year were the same on everybody's list.
For the Game Awards.
Doom Eternal, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2.
Yep.
Pretty much every Game of the Year award show had those 5.
Yes.
I just counted again. Yes, it is 5. But Bugsnax, I didn't expect to see that up there. And Tabletop Game of the Year is actually all of them. I don't know. It was The Crew, Quest for Planet 9, Oceans, Fort, and Calico were the other ones outside of the Search for Planet X. So pretty interesting. Maybe it's like, oh, there's some games we got to fucking play.
They're so
Astro's Playroom was up for the Cultural Innovation Award. So was Last of Us Part 2.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of good
they really dove into the culture of zombies.
They really
showed them in a good light.
Identified with zombies pretty well. Surprisingly, excellence in score, Cyberpunk 2077 was nominated, which is great because they got it to run long enough to hear the score.
No, but I mean that's
multiplayer
a huge part of
Valorant,
like any kind of period piece, including the future, is like getting the score to kind of like match and whatever. And I think
Bugsnax is also audio design. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Bugsnax is audio design.
It's so simple, but it is really well done.
So was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remake for audio design. Astro's Playroom got a couple nods for technical achievement, and Dreams, which makes sense. Ghost of Tsushima also was up for technical achievement. But what was it? Valorant was nominated for excellence in multiplayer, and Deep Rock Galactic beat that. And I love Valorant's multiplayer, so I really need to fucking. It's the best player versus player international. Like, all right, I got to play this fucking game, man, because Valorant's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that was kind of cool. Like we were jumping around a little bit today, a little more structured. I was trying to make sure we hit all of our things, and I think we did. We did. Wow, this is the first time in maybe ever we hit all of them.
Especially with like a clear cutoff between them.
yeah, for sure. Where I'm just like, all right, we're fuck transitions. But yeah, that was cool. So people forget South by Southwest. But yeah, it just ended yesterday. So yeah, it's cool. That was the winners, and I think all well deserved. Not really that many surprises if you've been following it all year, but definitely pretty cool to see. All right, so let's get to trivia.
Yeah, you said you had something for me.
I did. Did you have any for me?
I got some.
Okay, you go first because I still need to finish Googling to find this. It was a list I saw right before this, and then I was like, I'll remember. And I was like, well, I would like to read it.
Okay, so these are all Fortnite map locations, and you have to just tell me yes, they are, or no, they are not.
Okay. All right.
Pleasant Park.
Yes.
Toppled Towers.
Yes.
Salty Springs.
No.
Weeping Woods.
No.
Mustard Meadow.
Why? No. Let's go. No. I don't fucking play Fortnite. So I don't...
Banana Bonanza.
Yes, because I want it to exist.
Slurpee Swamp.
Kids game, so probably no. Just made me think of like a blowjob.
Krusty Crater, both with K's.
Seems pretty close to a dangerous situation, so I'm gonna say no. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out.
Tomato Town.
No.
And
I gotta start saying yes. I feel like I said
Diamond
no.
Dunes.
Yes.
You got a 30%.
Oh my god.
So Pleasant Park is, as well as Tomato Town, which were both in that like Fortnite song that is blowing up on TikTok.
I haven't even heard it.
Toppled Towers is not.
I don't have a TikTok, so that's why I don't know.
It might actually be worth looking up because it's kind of hilarious. Okay. Salty Springs is, Weeping Woods is, Mustard Meadows is not, Banana Bonanza is not, Slurpee Swamp is, Krusty Crater. Good call, because I did not really think of that.
Yeah,
and
it's not right
now has a different image in my mind.
Yeah,
and Diamond Dunes was not.
Damn it. I mean, I'm totally okay. Yeah,
not knowing any of this.
Let's do okay. I have to finish looking this up because
that's what it sounds like.
You can talk to the people.
Hello, people at home. Anyone in the chat today? Woo woo. Probably not.
What was it?
I don't know. What was it? I'm trying to think of like if I've actually. I keep trying to boot up Last of Us and just finish it, but there's always like something else on or something else that I'm going with. That, and I have been watching a lot more of Game Maker's Toolkit.
Okay.
I don't know. I love that channel. They guy really like dives into basically everything that we speculate on. He like goes in and spends like hours researching each of those little things. And I mean, that's the stuff where you'll see different gameplay mechanics. He has like a whole series set to like players with disabilities and how they're the games are like changed for that. And I mean, we saw like an award for that in the gaming awards. Do you remember what that was called?
Oh, I found it.
Yeah. All right.
No, but whatever. Let's get back to something interesting.
Still an important category, but
what were you talking about?
Them like making games for people with disabilities.
Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Just walked me into that. One, let me just say I wasn't listening. So obviously, and it's important category and very important. So I apologize for acting like an asshole right there.
Anyone on video can tell, but for anyone that's
just I was like, what?
Audio, he was still looking up his trivia.
I was just looking up trivia and just like whatever. Yeah, I don't care. What are you saying? Then when you tell me what it's saying, oh yeah, no. Yes,
accessibility. That's the word I was looking for.
What about it?
That they had an award at the gaming awards.
Oh yeah, that was great to see. Yeah, that was excellent to see. It was a good thing. Yes, for sure. Fuck. God damn, Sage. Talk about something a little lighter. Fuck. When I'm like trying to ignore you. But yes, very important. Glad they made part of it. Hope to see more of that and more accessibility games happening and more acknowledgement of those things. Going to move the trivia now. Please don't cancel me because of that. All right. So PlayStation released this week the most completed open world games based off trophy percentages. Most completed game by trophy percentage.
Oh, okay.
And they're all in the open world category.
Gotcha. I see. I thought you were saying the most open world. Gotcha. I
Right. So
understand.
there's 10 games.
Okay.
Guess them. Or I can give you no. Well, actually, I'll give you. Should I give you the games and say a percentage, and then you have
they're
to?
just Sony open world games.
It doesn't mean the games are only on Sony. It just means based off Sony. Sony released a report, so it's based off the Sony trophies.
Okay. So,
so I'll tell you what. I'll give you the games. I'll give you the games, and you have to tell me the percentage.
Okay.
That's what we'll do. Okay, so I'm just trying to think. So this way we won't. Well.
I mean, assuming GTA 5 is going to be on
I can't give them.
Horizon
I can't give them
Dawn.
to you in any order because then you would know percentage would kind of do that. So
you're trying to randomize.
Well, the problem is there's so many different games. I don't want to make you guess the games because it's like I don't think you'd be able to guess all of them. So it's not really like a.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
2077. I'm gonna guess is lower on the list.
I'm just gonna. You're not gonna guess the game. Just stop. I'm gonna write down the game and then write down your percentage, and I'll just read it from anywhere.
Okay.
On the list. But this way, I know I asked that game already.
Cool.
All right, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. What is the percentage complete?
Trophy wise.
So I just want a percentage.
The average.
Not the average, just the total. Like so many people bought this game. This percent of people beat the game.
Oh, I thought you meant like what was the average of trophies for that game?
No, like there's a trophy for all these games that like you beat the game.
Gotcha. Okay, that's very different than what I was thinking then.
Okay. So how many people beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey according to the trophy?
85%.
I didn't hear what you said.
85%.
Okay. All right. And let's go to, well, you brought it up earlier. Horizon Zero Dawn. Dawn. What did I say?
Dine. I'm gonna say 80%. I want it to be more, but it's a big game.
Okay, you're gonna say what? 80?
Yeah.
Just gonna make a line down here. Okay. All right. Let's go Witcher 3.
62%.
62%. All right. And also for this, I'll give you what do you think is a fair 5%? Or do you want me to give you like 10 more of it?
Let's go 7.5. Just meet in the middle.
Okay. So you get a 7. Great. No, fuck that. I'm going to give you 10.
Okay.
I don't want to do additional math on top of this shit. All right.
See, I just worked my way up to 10.
I was going to give you 10 anyways. All right. Death Stranding.
30%.
Okay. All right. Red Dead Redemption 2.
65%.
Okay. Assassin's Creed Origins.
75%. I feel like that one.
Far Cry 5.
For how those actually like stack up difficulty to complete wise. So I'm gonna say 85%. I feel like those are
okay. Days Gone.
75. I have zero information.
It's an open world like zombie game.
Okay.
Marvel's Spider-Man. Spider-Man, you probably call it.
Oh, 90%. Like the one that came out recently.
It's not Miles Morales. The one that's like Miles Morales is DLC too.
Yeah. Yes. Not like the PlayStation 3.
No, these are all the new ones.
Cool.
Well, Ghost of Tsushima.
65%.
Okay.
Does that include all the like one-on-one things?
No, it just means main story. Like they finished the main story.
Oh, then like 85%. Because I know some of those
like,
are like
when you complete the game, it just means you completed like the whole main story.
I wasn't sure if you needed
not like you
to
100% of the game.
defeat the baddies for the main
No,
story.
yeah, just like you got through the whole thing, just to like, yeah. And then Assassin's Creed. I just nailed the mic. Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Just because it has only been out for so long, I'm gonna say like 50%.
Okay. Just want to make sure I asked everyone. Hey, this might be 12 games. Watch Dogs 2.
45%.
It doesn't have. It's all bulleted. I just assumed they would only put a bullet of 10. I think they put a bullet of 12.
Aha.
What? Sorry, what was that?
I think I said 45.
Okay.
%.
Right. All right. And if there's any more than this, I don't care. Okay. Yeah. Got them all. Great.
Show me what you got. Show me what I got.
Quick. Second.
I'll give you 2 seconds.
I'm just circling the ones. What do we say? 10%?
Yeah.
Okay. You got one right. I'll go through them. I'll go through them all just in the order I asked you them because I don't feel like reorganize them. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you said 85%. It is 30%.
Oh, okay. I figured I'd be either way off or way.
You really believe people finish games. Put it that way. This is what it's going to be.
I believe they finish games more than me. Maybe I'm the average.
Yeah, exactly. You should have thought about yourself. Like Last of Us being like 14 years.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn, you said 80%. It is 34.1%.
Okay.
This is why I didn't do 7.5 because I was like, a lot of these are like point something. And I was like 0.7.
Yeah, you could have given me like 25%.
I was like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And I didn't want to say something too high to play because we did it like 3 games in. That it was like you're clearly very far, so that's why I was like 5-10%. I was trying to slow play. All right, Witcher 3. You said 62%. It's 29.8%. So that one I believe fucking game. Long fucking game.
Yeah.
Death Stranding is the one you got right. You said 30%. It was 28.6%. Okay, so pretty good. Pretty good on that one. That one's also a long game. Apparently, you knew that correctly. RDR2, you said 65%. It's 28.2%. Assassin's Creed Origins, you said 75%. It's 38.2%. Far Cry 5, 85%, 36.7%. If you would have just guessed 30s in all of these, you probably would have got it.
If I guessed half of all of these, I feel like.
Days Gone, 75%, 34.7%. Spider-Man 90%, 50.8%. It is the highest.
Yeah.
But that's the highest. Now that that's why I didn't want to like say it in that order because it's like, well, if you knew you guessed that percent, you would know not to guess higher than that. That's why I was like, I can't give you the percent. Ghost of Tsushima, you said 85%, 50.2. So it's the second one, right behind there. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 50%, 19.8%. And Watch Dogs 2, you said 45%. This was so close. 24.9%. It was close to that 10 range. You need to be really, you're within 20 of that.
Yeah.
But
I feel like my proportions were relatively spot on. Like the actual number or percentage was way off.
Right.
But I thought the ones that were completed.
You said the ones that were higher completed, you gave a higher percentage to.
Yes. Yeah,
if the 1 through 10 list, technically you got them. Like if I rearrange these and like what you gave the highest percent, it might work out 1 through 12. You might have the same or pretty close to the same one.
I would have had better than
1 out of 12. You got 1 out of 12. But if you did these in the order of like the highest thing, pretty close. I mean, there would be some changes, but you'd probably be closer to like 9 out of 12 or something like that.
Word.
I'm like doing it kind of quickly, kind of like maybe 8 out of 12. Way better than 1 out of 12 is the point. The middle would have switched a bunch is the problem. But like Spider-Man and Ghost of Tsushima, you had like the 1 and 2 locked in.
That's like a little depressing. that like people buy these games and
dude, it's what happens, especially now we're in like the golden age of gaming. You could say is like you get like 6 games, and it's like me with Cyberpunk. I still won't finish that because they're still updating it, and I know once they do, I won't play it. Ironically, I'm not playing it because I'm waiting for them to finish it. So it's like it would be the same situation that's happening now. But yeah, some people just don't fucking finish games, and especially games nowadays like Witcher 3 is like fucking long.
I think that's why I stopped playing it. Is I realized like whatever 4 hours in I was, where I'm like,
you're like a percent in.
I'm not enjoying this yet, and I know that I like haven't even finished the first real mission.
Yeah, you have to get to like for Witcher 3, you have to get like 10 to 12 hours in till you start enjoying it, and then it's like 100-hour game, but it's like a good 80. You can do like a good 80 in it.
Yeah,
like Persona 5, I put 100 and some hours in, and I love it. That's enjoyable from the second it starts. Which is nice, but you could probably you could definitely finish it like in 60.
That's like Lord of the Rings. Like people are like, oh yeah, it starts off slow, but after page 100, it's like really fun. And I'm like, I'm on page 7. Like,
like it took to me like to like the 2 towers fight in the movies to be like, all right, this is cool. Like, and that is halfway through that movie, and excluding the entire first movie, which is just fucking walking.
Yeah,
and like it had some cool stuff, but I'm like, it's like meh. Like I don't think it's terrible. I just like I also don't think the third one should have had 15 fucking endings. Like I was so ready to leave the theater. I was like, this is so fucking stupid. And people are gonna hate for that. Good, follow us for that and give me shit. At least give us some social interaction. I don't fucking care. But Lord of the Rings movies are boring as shit. Get a bunch of undeserved praise. Anyways, and on that note,
they have really good drone footage of people running around.
Awesome. Great. CGI battles footage. But yeah, so that's the game completion. I thought it was simple, but just 1 and 2, Marvel, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed Origins, Far Cry 5, Days Gone, Horizon Zero Dawn, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Witcher 3, Death Stranding, RDR2, Watch Dogs 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I would say I have most of these games pretty accurate. The ones that actually surprised me is Assassin's Creed Origins being above Far Cry, Days Gone actually being that high, because it was difficult for me to finish that game. I did, but it took me a while. I would expect Horizon to be closer to Spider-Man. Horizon is like the middle of this list.
Yeah,
I would expect
I could not put that game down when I started.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would expect that to be closer, like Spider-Man, Tsushima. I would expect the Horizon to be like 40, like right there.
Yeah, and
the fact that it's like those are both 50 and it's 34 is, and there's like 4 games in front of it is very surprising. And the 4 games are. 2 of them are on any platform, so that is the most surprising part of this whole list, because everybody I know that plays Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like one of their favorite games, and they were like it's incredible, just like you felt like it was Spider-Man was hard to put down and Tsushima is hard to put down. I would consider it in those conversations, and like when the sequel comes out this year, I'm sure it will be too. So that's just kind of like RDR2, completely understand. It is long as fuck. It is like 40 hours and there's like 2 epilogues, so I'm not sure it includes both of those epilogues. I actually, you know what, I bet it doesn't, because if it did, that probably is closer to like 15%. Because I know people that finished the game and didn't play the 2 epilogues, and the 2 epilogues are like another 15 hours.
I still haven't finished the Spider-Man DLCs.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be completed in this. This is like you just completed.
I wasn't sure if that would like count as an epilogue type thing. But
no, because like that was part of the initial story, not added on content.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy. Valhalla, I could believe that. Watch Dogs 2, I could believe that. All the other ones kind of line up.
Yeah. I feel like I was also trying to factor in side quests.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. This is just like main story.
Yeah. So it's like if you get distracted by side quests,
which is why Witcher 3
chance,
Witcher 3 makes sense. 1, it's long. 2, that 90% of that game you're doing side quests.
Yeah. And then I would also love to see it like compared to how many hours is expected to beat the game. Because if it's like a 12-hour to beat the game rather than like a 300 hour.
I think that's what the open world games are generally at least like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's kind of like why they said that. If they included like all games in this, I'm sure like, because then you'd have your games that are like 4 hours long that people just drill through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shit like that. But I think it's pretty interesting. And I like that they had this data, and I was like, that's kind of cool. And it lines up. Honestly, everything here I would completely agree with, except Horizon Zero Dawn is on, which is weird. It is the most glaring thing that I'm like, how the fuck? And also, actually, no, just that one really. Everything else, I find odd. or accurate. But
yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn being low and lower than Days Gone is just, yeah, I would expect it to be number 3 because I don't know a single person that owns that game that did not finish that game. I know people that own games that don't, like Last of Us.
Yeah,
you own that, right? Like, and that's for the well, they're not open world games, but I doubt they would be on this list either.
Yeah.
So they would be towards the bottom because they're just long, or definitely the second one. But yeah, the Horizon Zero Dawn is crazy. So all right, well, I think that's a good ending on this. But long story short, I wasn't even trying to tie this into Ghost of Tsushima, but it's very Tsushima heavy. I didn't even know it was like got the award at SXSW until I read it. And so it's kind of like we started with Tsushima and with Tsushima. Now I want like
to play Tsushima.
Well, that, and I was like, now I want like sashimi. Like I'm hungry.
Sushi. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. Well, yeah. Thanks. It was just fuck it. I don't know how to say ending now. So whatever. Thanks for joining us. Keep gaming, baby. Follow the fucking and subscribe to YouTube for the love of God. All right. Love you all. Bye. Keep gaming. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Podcast over.